The Royals got swept at Kauffman Stadium by the Tampa Bay Rays. They lost 5 in a row to the Rays after winning the first 2 in Tampa last week. The Royals now sit at 35-53 with the Philadelphia Phillies coming into town this weekend. What's going on, you guys? This is the KCSN Live Royals postgame show. I'm Joel Penfield here at Kauffman Stadium. Kevin O'Brien joining me as always. How's it going, man?
It's going. I mean, it's kind of a tough one right now. It's like you said, losing 5 straight to the Rays, losing 3 at home. Again, the Royals now, I believe, lead baseball in being swept with 7. So that's not a great sign, but that's just been kind of par for the course for this whole year. And so, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised that we're losing to the Rays, who are the best team in the American League East.
They're a great team.
Yeah,
they're a great team.
But it's tough nonetheless.
Yeah, and I believe at this point now the Royals have a negative 83 run differential, which is second worst in baseball to the Rockies, who are at minus 90. So we're creeping up on the Rockies when it comes to being one of the worst offenses in the league in that regard. Lose tonight 5-2, 2 runs coming on. A Carter Jensen leadoff home run, which, again, great. We've talked about how great Carter is. Isaac Collins hits a solo home run in the 7th. That's all your offense. 5 hits, 5 left on base. And those hits were really scattered. You had 2 hits in the first inning with the home run and then a 2-out double by Lane Thomas. And then Jack Caglione hit a single in the 6th inning. That was the gap in between hits for this team. Stephen Kolek pitched tonight, came off of the paternity list / family medical emergency list and pitched today. And first inning looked great. 9 pitches, fastball was 95-96, which was a little bit of an eye opener to me. And then the second inning just entirely got away from him. Some of it not necessarily of his own doing. The BABIP luck was really unfortunate for him in a couple of those areas. Basically a bunt single by Chandler Simpson with 2 outs, and then he had 3 unassisted 2 outs. Taylor Walls hits a ball that just hits off the glove of Cameron Meisner in right, and then a bloop single, and then a ball to the wall that Hunter Fiducia hits that, again, just hits the heel of Cameron Meisner's glove. Now, both of those plays I classify as tough plays, can be made, not necessarily expected to be made, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But just the inning just entirely spiraled on him, and he ended up throwing 42 pitches or 43 in that inning alone. And with him not throwing in basically 2 weeks, spending a lot of time in the hospital, not a lot of time around a baseball field, they did not want to stretch him much further than that. He left after the 2nd inning. And when that happens, I mean, and honestly, with the way that this season has gone with the pitching injuries, I'm thinking, oh God, what happened now? Yeah. But it really was just the fatigue of that 2nd inning and throwing 40-something pitches coming off of the paternity list. They weren't going to take him beyond about 75 pitches, according to Q, in the post game. So that just felt like a situation where they're just going to hook this now. We don't need to send him back out there. We don't want to send him back out there if with the potential of this thing getting worse and it's 96 and humid, let's just cut this now. Randy Dobnak gave them 4 innings, which was helpful. And again, it's just a warm body. That's all this team needs right now, just to go out there and pitch. Gives up a 2-run homer to Cedric Mullins. Other than that, he was fine. I don't have much else on this game other than that. I mean, it would have been nice to get another couple innings from Kolek, but with the way that spiraled, I thought they handled that pretty well to just not there's no reason to let him get out there and suffer or anything like that.
Well, and they can't afford another injured arm.
No, right? That's also part of it.
Exactly. I mean, so it's again, you already have Reagans who's going under the knife, who's going to be out. And then so I can understand Q saying, hey, he just came off the paternity list. We can't stretch him out. And then all of a sudden tomorrow it's hey, we got another pitcher that's going on the IL. I mean, that's kind of why I think they brought up Dobnak, is just because he can stretch it, and I think they probably were ready to utilize him instead of bringing up somebody like a Mason Black or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I thought Dobnak did the job. I mean, yeah, he gave up a couple runs, but he did what he was supposed to do. He gave the Royals 4 innings. He kept them in the game. It's just hard when all your offense is coming off 2 home runs, right? And that's kind of been the story of this series was really all the Royals offense came on home runs. They really weren't stringing together hits. They really weren't bringing runners in. It was more just like we're getting bombs and that's really it. And against a team like the Rays that score a lot of runs, like that's just not a recipe for success.
No, and I mean this series, like Carter hit the leadoff home run off Jack's first pitch, and you're thinking, okay, hey, maybe we're off to something in the series. And sure enough, that was basically all that they had that day. Mm-hmm. And then you get shut out by McClanahan on Wednesday, and then today, Ian Seymour shuts it down for the second straight appearance against you. He went against 12 1/3 against the Royals over basically the last week. Gave up 3 hits and the 1 run. Today he set a career high with 8 strikeouts, and he's a funky pitcher. He's kind of like a little bit of a crossfire lefty. He's going to spin it. He's going to spin it at the top of the zone like 90-92, but he's got some vert to it based on the way he, where his slot's at. That's the sweeper changeup. Like he throws anything in any count. It's kind of Noah Cameron-ish in that way. He's not afraid to throw any pitch, no matter what the count leverage is. And he had this team in knots for 2 consecutive appearances. McClanahan, they got to him in Tampa, and then he adjusted back in Kansas City. Griffin Jacks had a good outing in Tampa, and he had another good outing in Kansas City. He has been a Royals killer for his entire career, dating back to the wins. So just one of those series, and it also, I think it's a testament to how good the Rays are. I mean, they're 1-26 is really good. They are one of the best teams in the league. They're going to be a team that I'm going to be fascinated to see what they do at the deadline, because if they make a couple push the chips in type moves, I think they can compete for a World Series. I think the lineup is deep enough. They have the pitching. They're going to mix and match it in a lot of different ways. The bullpen is really good. I was impressed with what I saw from them in a 7-game stretch over the last 2 weeks. And obviously Junior Caminero was unbelievable. But they have so many different guys in that lineup that are just, they're just ball players, and they're really good.
And they're also one of those teams that plays better than on paper. If you look at the Rays lineup, it's after Caminero, there's no hitters that were above 700 in OPS. The highest one was Cedric Mullins with a 655 OPS. But they don't. It's like a lot of those guys kind of have like one area where they're not very good. So it's like if they're not hitting for power, they look better in batting average. A guy like Chandler Simpson, who doesn't hit for any power,
but he hits a 2-hopper. He hits a 2-hopper to the second baseman, and it's an infield single. Exactly. He did that. Or he literally he just slashes the ball to third base, and it's like, I don't know, hit maybe 65 miles an hour, and like, oh, that's a single. And then he laid down quite possibly the most beautiful drag bunt I've ever seen in my life. There in the 6th inning or 5th inning, which then with 2 outs led to the Cedric Mullins home run. Taylor Walls, not a lot of power, but again, he can drive the ball, and he's a switch hitter. Yandy Diaz, to me, is the most underrated hitter in the league. Just dude posts, and he's going to hit 310. Like, you just know it. And he's done that for the better part of a half decade. And the guy's built like a middle linebacker, right? Mm-hmm. Jonathan Aranda is one of the best run producers in the league this year. Caminero is unbelievable. Like I said, but they also are getting it from guys that are like nondescript, guys that before they got to Tampa were just kind of hanging on to their big league life, right? Like Richie Palacios, a Jag 5th, 6th option, right? Now he's damn near an everyday player for them. Ryan Valade, a guy that I know pretty well because he went to high school in Stillwater, Oklahoma when I was in college. I remember him. And got drafted by the Rockies, made his debut, and then he was out of the big leagues for 3 years, bouncing around AAA for like 3 years, comes up with the Tigers last year or the year before, and then he's with the Cardinals and the Pirates and a couple other teams, and then he ends up in Tampa, and now he's like a 280 hitter and plays near every day, and especially against lefties. Mm-hmm. Their ability to develop talent, their ability to identify talent, and draft develop in every fashion, right? Not just in the amateur draft, but in international draft or internationally as well. Guys like Caminero, who when he got picked, he was like in high A, right? Like it was it was a trade with Cleveland for a nondescript reliever. Imagine if Like we hated seeing Junior Caminero here. Imagine if he played for the Guardians, we had to see him 13 to 18 times a year, right? And I don't mean for this now to turn into the Tampa Bay Rays love fest, but listen, they're a small market team that they know their strengths, they understand their weaknesses, and they exploit everything that they can to put together a good ball club. And they've done this for 10 plus years, especially as long as Kevin Cash has been there. I believe he's been there about 12 years now, which is kind of crazy. I didn't realize he had been there for that long, but they're one of the best teams in the American League. I want to see them go and get to Tarek Skubal and just push it in like the Brewers did with CC back in 2008. Just, hey, you're our guy. We need an ace. We need a one, and we feel like that might put us over the top. They do that, I think it could be really interesting.
And one thing that's interesting about the Rays too is that, there's a lot that they do that's very similar to the Royals, and that makes sense with Quatrero being a bench coach for the Rays. I mean, the Rays in this series, they got thrown out a lot on the base paths. I mean, they were very aggressive on the base paths, and they got thrown out. So any of the Royals fans are like, we're the only team that makes errors on the base paths. It's like if you're a Rays fan, you probably are kind of used to it. Like I said,
Vincent threw out Chandler Simpson.
Yeah,
Chandler Simpson's one of the fastest dudes in the league.
Right, exactly. And again, so it's they have a very aggressive mindset. Cash is not a very animated manager. You watch him out there; he's pretty chill, pretty laid back. So I mean, in some ways, you're just kind of like you see the model, but the difference right now is that the Rays have the right players and the Royals don't. And today, and this series was kind of a big example of that with the Rays very strict in platoons, but the Royals, I mean, they had to have Meisner and Massey out there against the lefty Seymour. And I just felt like, the roster right now is running on fumes so much that they're not able to do all that much. And so, I mean, I think the Rays are a good benchmark of like, hey, this is what a good, small market or low revenue team does. But, the Royals also have to have also the talent to like back it up. You just can't follow the model.
And the development side, they got to figure out some of the development stuff in both the minor leagues and at the big league level too, to be able to maximize when your roster gets thin or when your roster maybe has guys that are thought of as, net negative or net neutral and just, that's just a guy. But they squeeze every little bit of value out of all these guys. Yeah. And I think this is one of the funniest things that the Rays do, and then we'll hit a break. Have you seen the meme on Twitter that's like the bell curve, and it's like the super dumb person and the smart the like really smart person and then the nerd in the middle? They are that meme when it comes to bunting now.
Yeah,
because they are one of the most analytically inclined, forward-thinking organizations, and they bunt more than anyone else. They have zagged the conventional analytic wisdom of bunting when it comes to sack bunt, drag bunt, whatever. And it's like the old school baseball mind of bunting is good. And now the smart person in the middle is like, no, because your run expectancy goes down and you can't be doing that because you can't give up outs. That's me. And then the Rays on the other side are bunting is good.
Yes. Yeah. And the Rays love to exploit those kind of things. And I think when people say like, hey, what they do on the development, they really are trying to be on the forefront of getting guys with focusing on one unique skill. I know from a pitching end, they love guys with extension. That's like if they don't care about
tools.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really necessarily worry about the velocity right away. They're like, what's the extension? And then can we kind of take advantage of that? And that's what you have to do when you're a team like the Rays. And a lot of that's scouting. A lot of that's your R&D. And I think also what makes the Rays so good is they know when to cash out on guys. They're very good at when they're
also that. Brewers are good at that too.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest problem for us. I think maybe as Royals is we get a little too attached, and then maybe we hold on to guys longer than we should. Yeah,
I think that's a good way to look at it. I think that's all I got on this game. We got a lot of injury stuff to get to, unfortunately, with the mash unit that this team is right now. But we'll do that on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to. And I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust. And I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible. And they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
You know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too. But then I found Shady Rays and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear, on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. If you're heading out to Kaufman, or not to Kaufman, to Kansas City Stadium tomorrow for Columbia, Ghana, round of 32 knockout state, you might need them because it's going to be 95 and humid and hot, and there ain't a lot of shade inside Kansas City Stadium, so you might need them. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN for 40% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. So a lot of injury updates after the game or before the game today. We knew last week that Cole Reagans was having some sort of elbow procedure on July 1st. So obviously no news was going to come of it yesterday. We asked Matt Quattrero post-game, Richard Howard of Royals.tv did, and he said that Cole had a UCL repair. Now, they did not specify what kind, if it was like that, the internal brace, if it was a full Tommy John repair. I guess there's some nuance to that. I guess on Saturday, at least from what I understand, Kyle Turner, Royals head trainer, and Cole are going to meet with the media. So I imagine we'll get a little more detail there. But regardless, it is a UCL surgery that he had and underwent, and it's a 10 to 12 month return to, timeline, right? That says Tommy John to me, just based on the timeline, right? That's what we're looking at. It's another elbow injury for Cole Reagans. That would be his third, at that, and that's just brutal for any pitcher to go through, any person to go through, to have to deal with that once again. I'm glad at least we have the clarity, because as bad as this may sound, I'm just glad that we have clarity. Yeah. That we don't have to sit with the Cole Reagans question for the rest of the year. When's he going to come back? Is he going to come back? Is he going to pitch again? Nope. He got clipped, and now it's a matter of what are the Royals going to get from him in 2027. Yeah. And we'll talk about that down the line. We don't need to talk about him for the rest of the 2026 season as part of this thing. And it sucks that this has happened to him again after he beat all of that with back-to-back Tommy John surgeries, and he was in the minor leagues, makes his debut as a reliever, gets traded for, and is immediately awesome for a year and a half. And now the injuries have come back. It sucks. It's part of this thing as a pitcher, unfortunately. It's just a volatile position. And that's what we're seeing with Cole now under the knife once again.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I think right now this gives you kind of clarity that as talented as he is, when he's healthy, he's just not healthy. And right now, I think when the Royals are saying, okay, how do we build our pitching staff for 2027 and beyond? I think going into spring training, we kind of thought, oh, Cole Reagans is a guy we're building around. Now we can't really say that anymore, which means that, okay, who do you build around right now? It's probably not Chris Bubich. He's injured too. Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, they might be traded by the deadline. Noah Cameron, he's really struggled. And then so now you're really banking on your young guys like a Kendry Churio and a David Shields, but those guys aren't going to be ready for a couple of years at the earliest. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what Piccolo does this offseason, because right now, or even this draft, because I mean, I think you look at this draft, do you look at somebody, if a guy like a Jackson Flora falls down to you, obviously is that the move? Do you look at a Mason Edwards, who might be more of a middle of the road guy? And I mean, I think right now you got to start looking at this draft and thinking about, okay, we got to get a premium pitcher, because Cole Reagans is just, we can't depend on him to be a long-term ace for us.
I worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do. I think that drafting for need at the big league level is a futile exercise. Like I do, because that is just the antithesis of the way you handle this. Now, with the seemingly the change-ups that are coming to minor league baseball, or that the owners in Major League Baseball are trying to implement, then maybe I understand that argument. But I think drafting for need to like kind of save your job in a way, I think it's crazy. And I don't think that you can do that, because if Flora comes up and he blows his arm out, or he's not good, like then you even have bigger problems, right? Because with the lottery system, you can't pick inside the top 10 more than, I think, 3 years in a row. Like I understand why they would do that, and I still don't think it would be a good idea. But that's my.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of back and forth. I mean, I think a guy like Flora, he's a top 5 guy, so I mean, for me, it's it's
like, you're not reaching on a player, right? But the problem is it's just not the way it works in baseball, right? Like drafting but I guess the other side of it is that guys are moving faster and faster. Right. Guys that are being drafted, within a year, you're seeing 3 to 4 guys from the top 10. Making their debut 1 year later or so, because like 8 of the top 10 in the 24 draft are already up in the big league, something like that. I'll be curious who the first in the 25 draft, to come up will be, because I imagine we're not too far away from seeing something like that. But we got a lot to talk about that over the next couple of weeks with the draft coming up next Saturday. I'm excited to do that. I think we're going to be live streaming it, so I am excited to be on that with you, Jared, and lot to talk about there. More injury stuff, because the hits just keep on coming. Chris Bubic was scratched from his rehab start the other day. He came back to Kansas City, got a cortisone shot in his shoulder. He is going to be shut down for 7 to 10 days from throwing before they reassess. I'm close to removing Chris Bubic from my 2026, mind when I think about this team. And I'm not even really think about him beyond this year, because he's going to be a free agent. And the brutal thing for Chris is this is a contract year. Yeah. Like, how much money has this cost him? $60 million at least? It went from a guy that probably could get a multi-year deal, at a 25 AAV or something like that, to now he's going to get a 1 for 10 as like a prove it deal. Can he stay healthy? Or teams just going to look at him as a reliever? Like the implications for his career, like this is tough for him, not just for this year, but beyond it, and future earning power and things like that. And it basically kills any ability right now, I think, for the Royals to even think about trading him. Yeah. Because who knows if he's even going to be healthy, and it's not like you have a runway to show, hey, here's 3 weeks where he's great. Here, he's healthy, he's good to go. Here's all this. We don't even have that now. And that's one where it's very easy to kind of sit and do the hindsight bias thing, retcon some moves. This is one where I sit and go, that if there was one move that you probably should have made, it would have been trying to offload him for something this offseason. But again, that's just hindsight being 2020, as it always is.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. I mean, you think about it right now, this time this year, he was prepping for the All-Star game, and he was
he was great
of a renaissance, and I know he was pushed. I mean, you could go, I think, hindsight with Cole Reagans a little bit, say, hey, like, did they maybe the asking price was too high? I really think they were really pushing Bubic this offseason, but I think it was kind of the same issue they had. Is teams were like, can he stay healthy? We don't know if he can stay healthy, and that ended up biting them in the butt. And I think it's, like you said, it's a really shame for Chris, because he lost his contract ability. Right now, it's like if he's going to another team, it's going to be a very low-end deal, and we don't know what's going to happen. He might come back and he might need surgery, and if he needs surgery, he's going to be out again, and that's going to cost him time for next year. So it's tough because I really like him. When he's been healthy, he's been really good, but he just has not been able to stay healthy in Kansas City.
Yeah, not at all. Again, volatile business.
Volatile business. It really is.
And the Royals did what they could to try and have as much depth available as they can, and all those guys got hurt too, or they sucked. Like it's a little bit of both. One more move that was made today, a roster move. I saw him in the clubhouse, and I was a little confused. I kind of forgot that he was in Omaha, but Luke Maile was in the clubhouse chilling. I'm like, see here, like I was thinking maybe like taxi squad or he's a coach now or something. I was a little like, oh, this is interesting. But he's actually selected by the big league club. John Rave was optioned, and Eric Sarantola was designated for assignment as the corresponding move, to the surprise of basically no one.
Yeah.
And that was also a quick DFA too, because I think they didn't even. They
made it back to Omaha, right?
Which tells me he's probably going to clear waivers and end up right back in Omaha, and then they can select him again if they need it. Yada yada.
Yeah.
But this move was necessitated because Salvi woke up with elbow soreness. I believe it was in his left elbow, which is interesting considering he's right-handed.
Right.
He woke up with it, just couldn't quite shake it. That's why he's out of the lineup today. This is as basically catcher insurance, to be a backup if this is something that lingers for Salvi, but doesn't seem like it's going to be an IL thing. Definitely odd, and we were all trying to kind of sort it out in real time because when we found out about this, the move had not been officially announced by the team. So Q was trying to explain to us kind of the moving parts of it all. And there were about 3 different follow-ups between Jalen and Bridget and Annie and me. We're all like, oh, okay. Regardless, Maile up, Rave down, Sarantola DFA, Salvi hurt but not going on the injured list, and we'll go from there. I think that covers it.
Yeah. And that's been my frustration with this team. Yes, the injuries. There's a lot of freak incidents. Like I understand injuries are freak things sometimes, and no matter what you do for prevention. But the fact is, like, they don't want to put Salvi on the IL. They take their time with putting Michael Garcia on the IL. They don't want to put Bobby on the IL. They've basically been playing with a 25-man roster, 24-man roster for most of this at times this year. And I'm kind of just like, what's the point? Like it's you're 18 games under 500. Just put him on the IL. Let him get healthy. Let him get fully recovered. And guess if you're like, well, we don't have any other bats in Omaha. Well, you're not having any bats right now. He's a sub 600 hitter. So it's not like it's like you're missing some 800 hitter. And I don't know if they're just like, well, we want to make sure he gets his records and things like that. It's like, who cares at this point? Like, it's just let him get healthy. Let him get fully recovered. We got the All-Star break coming up. Let him get on the IL, get another couple weeks, and then he'll be good to go in the second half. I just don't understand why they just are so hesitant to add people to the IL. And I don't know if it's a trainer thing. I don't know if it's a front office thing, but something's got to give here. This has been kind of ridiculous this year.
So I talked about this with somebody today after, and I was kind of like, as we were going back up from the press box or from the dugout to the press box, I was kind of like, there's some like weird aversion to putting Salvi on the injured list. Like, this just feels weird to me. Like, he's dealt with like the hip, the shoulder, the elbow, that he's gotten beat up behind the plate. He's dealt with all of this. It just strikes me as odd. And what I was told was, and it's more of a generalization when it comes to baseball and not just Royal specific, but it is when you have front office managers, they treat all players equally, but there are also certain players that are treated differently, right? That have their own little bits of leverage based on productivity, pelts on the wall, tenure, all of that. And sure, maybe they could have gone to Salvi and said, hey, maybe this needs to be an IL. And Salvi says no. And they go, okay. And then they reshuffle the deck that way. And I'm not saying that is what happened. I'm using that as an example to the point that I just made, for clarification. Bobby could have told them, I don't want to go in the IL. I can get back in a week. And they went, okay. We'll reassess in a week. And sure enough, 6 days later, Bobby's back in the lineup and he's playing and he's fine. So it does come down to, in some form or fashion, Salvi's pelts on the wall are given a level of deference to the organization, whether that is the correct way that this is going or not. That seems to be what it is. And I'm sure Mike Trout in Anaheim has similar pull. Bryce Harper in Philly has similar pull. Aaron Judge in New York. Juan Soto with the Mets. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman with the Dodgers. Like those types of guys are treated differently. There is a little bit of a different subset of rules for the way those guys are handled. And I think that's just kind of what we're seeing with this.
And that's really interesting. For a guy like Bobby, I can understand because Bobby's productive. Right now, we're in a situation where
this is the tenure piece that I mentioned.
Exactly.
Right? This is tenure. This is not productivity right now.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're also saying it's like at the end of the day, it's also like, hey, we're trying to win ball games. I know that Salvi's the captain. I know Salvi's the face of the Royals. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win ball games, and you have a guy that's carrying all this weight that has a sub 600 OPS. Like I know like what Salvi has done. I know that what he means to the franchise, but I think this is really concerning for next year because I think the Royals have a really big choice with this. What are they going to do with Salvi? Because right now, I don't know if you can pencil him as the everyday catcher. I think you got to go Jensen as the everyday catcher.
Yes, that needs to be what you do.
And I think, is Salvi okay with being a backup and being a 2 to 3, 4 day week backup? I don't know. And if you're saying like, hey, I don't want to go on the IL, and if we're saying in the offseason, you know what, Salvi, you're going to be a backup. Is he going to be cool with that? That's going to be a really interesting conversation this offseason.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. They're doing something down on the field. I heard I heard like a speaker. It was odd. Whatever it was. I'm here late, and they're working on stuff for, I think, the 4th of July game, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's a really tricky spot this team is in. And Salvi makes $12 million next year.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap decision either.
Right.
And so, maybe he decides that he's ready to hang it up. The injuries are there. He gets the record, for home runs. I mean, he even talked about before the year, like he wins the WBC with Venezuela, and he's like, I can retire now. And looking, and I didn't think about it much at the time, and I look at it and I go, oh boy, that's it. It seems it rings a little bit differently now than it did in that moment when they were able to get that win. But season is where it is. We're just kind of looking for some storylines and some modicums of positivity. There ain't much there, but it is what it is. Do you have any other final thoughts here? I can tell my brain started short circuit, which means it's time for me to get home.
I know you got like wolves screaming out there or whatnot, but it's like you said, it's right now. It's like you can't get too hung up on the losses, especially. I mean, right now the Royals are the worst team in the American League, and they're one of the worst teams in baseball. At this point, it's like what you're looking for is the development of the young guys. Jensen's developing nicely. He had a good series this series. Kaggs has been a little up and down, but he had a 2-hit game yesterday. He had a hit today. I mean, that's what we're looking for. As long as the young guys are producing, I think you can feel encouraged. It does. As much as I want to say, oh yeah, like what's going on with Salvi or what's going on with these other guys, it really doesn't matter, right? It's just like this point of the year, who cares? I mean, I'm thinking a nice thing is Isaac Collins has kind of been heating up. Is like, could he be a guy that you could trade for something and get something in value back? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think right now you're looking, everybody's like, who can be traded at this point? Because if you're the Royals, it's like, we got to really shake up this roster and this 40-man roster in our depth, because there's not a lot of help right now in Triple and Double A. And that's not just a 2026 problem. That's a 2027 and maybe 2028 problem too.
Yeah. And I'm going to probably end up talking next week, kind of as a beginning of the deadline primer, which will be less than a month away. It'll be basically 1 month from tomorrow. Is the trade deadline. And I'm looking at this now, and I'm beginning to wonder how much they actually do at the deadline. Not for good or for bad, mostly for bad, I think. But what are they going to do? And just as a little teaser to kind of what I'm going to look at and think about a little more and put a little more coherence behind, before Tuesday. Can they afford to trade Waka and Lugo? Yeah. Because who the hell's going to pitch?
Well,
and that is in not just for this year, but next year too, when you consider that Reagans is now on the shelf. Like, it makes it an even bigger roster hole for 2027. Now, should they consider trading those guys? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But will they, because they don't want to punt on the next couple of years? Also the conversation to be had. And I'm going to try and make that a little bit more coherent and make sense for all parties over the next couple of days.
A thing to think about with Waka, too, is that Royals are not a destination place for a lot of free agents, especially free agent starting pitchers. And Waka chose here to come to Kansas City not just once, but he chose to stay here a second time.
Yep.
If you say, hey, we're going to trade you, a guy who said, I'm going to move my family here and be established here, I mean, that's going to piss off people. And then now all of a sudden you're going to like other free agents. It's like, well, I saw how you treated Michael Waka. Why should I sign in Kansas City? And then basically you shut your whole free agent market. Now you just got to rely on the draft and so on. So that's going to be a big dilemma for JJ, I think, at the deadline.
Yeah, I think that's another point to add to this, and I'll talk more about that next week. No post-game show this weekend. Wraparound series against the Phillies going Saturday, Sunday, and then a day game on Monday. 1-10 day game on Monday. So I'm sure all tens of people that are going to be able to get out there on a Monday and take an off day. They're going to love it, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, God bless. And obviously no game Friday because of the knockout game at Arrowhead.
Right.
Which if you need something to make you happy watching sports, the World Cup is freaking awesome. It's been awesome. Great. And I love that the Royals game is a 1:10 so that I can just lock in on USA Belgium on Monday night. The biggest soccer game in the history of this country up in Seattle. That if you think Seahawks playoff games get loud, that crowd is going to be at a 13 from jump. It's going to be insane. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
I had Portugal, Croatia on my computer, and I tried not to react when I thought Croatia equalized in the 108th minute. What a brutal turn there for those guys.
Yeah. I live in Strawberry Hill, so it's like Croatia Central at the church.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
It's right there.
Yeah. So tough one in the neighborhood tonight.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we're starting to get on tangents here. We need to get out of here. Thank you so much, Kevin, for doing this. As always, make sure to like, rate, subscribe, review, 5-star reviews, notification bells, all those good things, as there is concerning noises happening outside this window at Kauffman Stadium. I don't know.
Get out, okay, Joel.
Something is happening, but I don't know what is happening. It is odd. Hopefully, I'll figure it out as I'm walking out to my car. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk soon. Take care.